Good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening, whatever time of the day, and wherever you're watching from. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is the end of the year. It is the end of the year, and I wanted to close out the year talking to some of my clients. And today I'm being joined by my amazing client, Dr. Alex Rosa. She is a doctor of functional medicine. She is a professor at a university in Ohio, and she helps six-figure women balance their hormones, get everything that has to do with biohacking under their belt so that they can um, track and be intentional about their health. And I know what I'm talking about because I'm one of those people. So welcome, welcome, welcome today, Dr. Alex. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much. How are you?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Um, I wanted to talk today about identity.
Mm,
And I know even as my client, you've seen this big push of mine for talking about identity, 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 more so than I
mhm,
talk about sales or high ticket anything. I want to share from me as your coach, um, that it's been amazing watching your identity evolve.
mhm.
And from your words, how would you describe your identity where you were when you started working with me? And even as of late, it's like gasoline. We're putting gasoline on it. Explain to the people that are just finding out about you or me today when we share this interview. What is this thing about identity and why has it been important or why is it important?
Mhm. Well, I know for myself, identity, I've always identified as a healthcare worker, a helper, a nurse, and that was my entire identity for so many years and years because that was my professional life. That's what I devoted so much time to, so much schooling to, away from my family. That was my whole life. And that had become my identity. And I never thought about that my identity would impact so many other areas of my life. I never thought that. And so now that I have got my doctorate and I'm now no longer nurse Alex anymore, which I was for so many years of my life, it took some adjusting. I didn't realize how I was going to need to change and what shifts I was going to need to make and how that was going to change the rest of my life. I never would have thought that. And it's not something that you learn in school. It's not something I ever learned from family members, from peers, from colleagues, even. Never, never, never. And it wasn't really until I came into your world, your sphere, that I started learning about this. And it's totally transformed who I am.
I love that. And we're going to break all of that down because I know when I first got introduced, first of all, I'm Puerto Rican.
Hmm.
Dr. Alex is also Puerto Rican. And we come from regular, everyday, middle class families.
Hmm.
We don't come from rich people. Like, we didn't inherit millions of dollars and we're just living the life now of the rich and famous and our kids have trust funds. Like we come from working families.
Hmm.
And oftentimes we want to pull all middle class people into one, but me here knowing how I've transformed my life just even in the past 5 years, I know that there's levels to the middle classness.
Mhm.
And in our own families, I know for me, I'm going to speak for me, I've got all sorts of crazy people in my family, for lack of a better phrase. Like I have an aunt from my mother's side who retired from the school system in Puerto Rico, and she's like well respected and well known, and now she consults with other schools. And then I have other people who are my cousins who are literally addicts, drug addicts, alcoholics, in and out of prison, all of the things that happen when you go to prison, hepatitis from getting tattoos with bad
Mhm.
needles, food stamps, getting their car repoed. Like there's that family member that 5 years ago, they were getting their lights turned off, but when you call them now, they're still getting their lights turned off. Like they never get better. And so I have those people in my family. And why I say that, well, I wanted to start this with that foundation is because when I discovered this wealth consciousness stuff, when I discovered like this awareness about more money and personal development and expansion and all these words, I was like, what kind of crock of shit is this?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I
Did
was
you
like, I
feel
don't know nobody that talks about this. And if I did talk to them about it, they'd think I was like crazy or like, what is she talking about? That's it.
so? When we think that way, also,
Mhm.
if you're watching me for the first time, all of my interviews are always an amazing coaching session because I break down the psychology. I break down what we're talking about. So, you when you think that way, when you're like, what
Mhm.
kind of bullshit is this? Like everybody's drinking this Kool-Aid over here. What
Mhm.
nobody talks that way. How am I even gonna say that to anybody in my family? They're gonna think I'm crazy, right? That
Mhm.
is called your resistance. When
Mhm.
you feel that, that is your big clue to go, huh, I should look into this.
Mhm.
Your resistance is that limiting belief. There's a belief that's telling you that's bullshit. That doesn't work. So, as your coach, I remember last year you were subcontracting for an IV drip company,
Mhm.
and you called me on the way home after seeing one of your clients that this company, you guys used to go to people's homes like you do now with your own business.
Mhm.
And you went to this mansion, multi-million-dollar mansion. This gentleman happened to be a coach in the industry. Um, and you went there and there were these cars and his home. What happened when you went there? What
Oh,
happened to you as a person?
it was it was a whole experience of just even driving. And this is one of the things that you even brought to my attention was this person didn't even live that far from me. They really weren't some far off person in a whole nother state or a whole nother continent. Like this person
Right up
was
the road.
like an hour away driving distance from my house, from me, where I've been my entire life, lived my entire life, right? So we were driving to this guy's house and just getting off the highway, going towards the exit, getting off on the different streets, and then pulling onto his street and just seeing the homes. And they were like big. And I was like, damn, these are some big houses. And then they started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we pulled up to his house and we're driving up this long driveway, and the front yard looks like this whole park in itself. It was crazy. And so we pull up to his home, and yeah, there's all these beautiful cars in the driveway. I was just like, oh
What
my
kind of cars?
goodness.
Like Lamborghinis and stuff, right?
Oh
Like
my gosh, there was like new Land Rovers, there was Bentley, I think there was like Rolls Royce, there was some other supercar. Like I was just like, I knew just looking at these cars, I said, oh my gosh. And so we go up to the front door and we get let in, and his home is just beautiful. It's beautiful. And I remember just being like, oh my goodness, like I'm here in this house. Oh my goodness. And it wasn't any jealousy, did not come up at all. And I know that was one of the things we spoke about. It wasn't jealousy. It was not. I was just like in awe. I was just so it was such a beautiful moment, like, I'm picturing it right now as I'm talking to you. It was so beautiful, and it was just such a great experience being there, and yeah, he is a coach, he's into business, he's into real estate, he buys and sells, like, big time levels. He lives here, and then he lives in another state, he has a private plane, like, his family is beautiful, his wife, his kids are little, kinda like mines. Oh my gosh, so amazing. And I realized, like, yeah, this guy really isn't much older than me. And look at this life that he's living. He has like a live-in nanny and teacher for his children that travels with them wherever they go, private doctor, private services, obviously come into his house to give him IV treatments, like amazing, just this amazing life. And he was such a nice guy. Like the things that he shared with me, the things that he was teaching me for free, like people probably would have paid him thousands and thousands of dollars for the coaching and for all the insight, all the things that he was telling me to look into, to try, to learn more about, just questions, like genuinely interested. such a great, like the whole experience was such a highlight in my life, really. And after the experience, I had talked to you about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this could be me. There's nothing stopping me from experiencing this in my own life, because this is right here. Like, I experienced this level of it, I can experience another level of it.
So for those that are listening, this is what we mean when we say proximity is power, right? Because just by being near this person, you were elevated. You were opened. Your mind, your mentality, how you think was elevated to a new possibility. Like everything you said, because I was like, he's just right up the road. There are people living this life right there. Like, this guy's not in another country. This guy's right there. You're driving to his house. And he's not the only house in that neighborhood.
Right.
There are many people who live this life. And I love the words that we now speak daily. Before, they were so difficult. But I heard you say, this life that he's created.
Ooh.
Right? This life that he's living. We create the very life that you're living right now. As you're watching this, you have created that. You are a powerful creator. Whether you like that life that you've created or not, you created it. And it is a decision for you to just say, I can create something else. So you left there that year, which that was earlier this year.
Yeah.
Right. And so this man had a 3-day event, and he gifted you a VIP ticket. And you said, hey, Linda, do you think I should go? I'm like, girl, you better go to everything this man invites you to.
Yeah.
So you experienced the live event. You were like, oh my God, now I know why Linda loves going to these things. And you met other people. You've networked there. You've made other connections. And that year you left this people that you were subcontracting with. And what happened?
Yeah. So I'm a professor. I'm a full-time professor. So I teach, and my teaching schedule had got really packed, and I was having clients on top of that. And I have a family and a life and all the things. And so I wasn't able to devote as much time to this IV place as they would have liked. And so when I was going to be not as available as they would like, they decided to let me go.
Over text or over email?
Yeah, over text. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Over text message. Yeah.
So let's stop right there.
Sure.
You Voxer me that night. You send me a voice clip and you go, what'd you say?
Oh, yeah. So they had sent me a text message letting me know basically that they were, letting me go because of my unavailability. And so what I found myself doing was, because self-coaching is so powerful, and I find myself self-coaching more and more and more. I totally found myself just replying to the text message and telling them, I was going to say, oh, that's fine. I totally understand. Let me know if, we can collaborate, or if you need me in the future. Like, that really was the text that was coming out. And something in me stopped myself. I stopped myself, and I erased the whole thing. And I sat there and I stopped, because it was an automatic response. Like, I saw the text and I was like, okay,
yeah, you were like, I was going to text him and say, okay, well, thanks. If you need me later, let me know. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So that's when you messaged me.
So yeah, and I messaged you, and I was like, I can't believe I just caught myself that I was doing this, and I stopped myself, and I can't believe that that's how I was going to respond to them. And I was like, I'm mad, like, I'm pissed, like, I can't believe that they're doing this to me. And then I was like,
I was say thank you. You were gonna say thanks.
I know. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with me? Like, I'm gonna say thank you to this, like this. And even upon like further reflection of the whole thing, I was like, these people just really enjoyed having somebody that they could say, oh, we have a doctor that works here. Oh, Dr. Alex will come see you. And, oh, Dr. Alex, can you come speak at this event? Can you do this presentation? Can you help record a bunch of these videos? Like, the amount of things that I did And they obviously enjoyed it because I was Dr. Alex, or I am Dr. Alex. And that's what they liked promoting. And I was just like, I legit got like
They
pimped out.
benefited from you being
Yeah,
Dr.
I got
Alex.
pimped out so much by working there. And then I was going to go and say thank you. I was going to go and say thank you. So I had to catch myself, and I sat with it, and I got myself together, and I did a good reply to that.
So when you replied to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, okay, let's reply to that. I know that we're talking about it now like it's no big deal, but
Mm-hmm.
every time that Alex has been able to self-coach or to bring something to the table, and I mirror it back to her,
Mm-hmm.
she's a very giving person. This is why she chose nursing, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's a very giving person. She's a caring person. So Alex breaks down and she cries. And every
Mm-hmm.
time that Alex cried, I would say, okay, this is a part of her identity that's breaking off. Like, it's hard to accept, to look in the mirror. And also, she has to let that go.
Yeah.
And so so then I started, we talk on all like Saturday mornings, Sunday, whenever we have time, I
Whenever.
just like call you, pick up the phone. And I'm like, Alex, have you ever thought of starting your own IV drip business? And you're like, I did, I looked at some of these things and I started sending you information, and boom,
Mm-hmm.
you manifest literally, because how you came into being able to have the money to start the business was through a way that you never even knew would happen.
Yeah.
So then you manifest how to start this business. Boom, you have the funds and you begin. You start to
Mm-hmm.
create reels. You go make the logo for your company. You start to create content promoting your business. And then what happens?
And then what happens? I get an email from a lawyer. I don't even think they were really a lawyer representing the people that I had worked with previously in the IV business. And basically, it was a cease and desist email. And I was like, I got so mad. I got so mad. Um, and so, but I stepped up though. I wasn't like, oh my God, let me stop. No, I didn't do that. I was like, nobody's going to stop me from doing this because this is what I want to do. So I went, got myself a lawyer, and I showed the fuck up, and I responded to that. And there was some back and forth regarding that, but I don't think they were really ready for me to come back how I did, like as seriously as I did. And it was some of the things that we talked about, like when you want to step up and be a CEO, you're going to have to deal with some CEO problems. Not that it was that much of a problem, but it's something that you're going to have to deal with, because if you want to play big, you're going to have to play big, and things are going to happen. Things are going to come up, and it's how you deal with those. And so I didn't back down. I never for an instant was like, oh, let me stop. No, I never for an instant did that.
Absolutely. And then, we were like, girl, that's not even a thing. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, at first it was shocking to receive that. And
Yeah.
then we settled into ain't nobody going to tell me what I can do for a living. You're not going to control, you can't control
Mm-hmm.
Ohio. They're literally trying to tell you can't go within 50 miles of what? 50
Mm-hmm.
miles of Ohio? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And our
you know,
things we were going in two different directions totally, and even the hours and clients, like none of it was going to impact anybody, and it just was so unneeded. It was unneeded.
but here's the deal. If that had happened to you 3 years ago, you would have been crying. You would
Mm-hmm.
have been scared. You would
Mm-hmm.
have been literally bullied by these people, a little letter and an email, and you'd have been like, well, I can't do that. You would have even done that. You'd have been like, thank you for firing me if you ever need me again, because that's what you caught yourself going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so throughout the time, everyone needs to know Alex has been working with me now. This is a multi-year, situation. And I've seen Alex do this and do that and do this
Mm-hmm.
and do
Yeah.
that. And listen, that happens to all of us,
Mm-hmm.
because when we get off our mastermind call, when we stop talking to our coach, we go back to our regular life with
Mm-hmm.
people that don't think like us, that don't talk like us, right? And so our identity does this. Or we get on a call and somebody wasted our time, and really truly we didn't really pre-qualify them in the best way, or
Mhm.
and then we have good sales, and then we have bad sales, and then we attract people that want to be nursed
Mhm.
because Dr. Alex is a nurse. So I recall a few times, but I don't remember the specific time, the first time that I said this to you, but I do remember your reaction, and you
Mhm.
were in tears again. And I
Mhm.
said, Alex, you keep wanting to nurse your clients.
Yeah.
You keep wanting to be Nurse Alex. You can't do that, especially when you were like, well, I have this client, she's doing all these things. She's sending me pictures going to Dairy Queen, or like, that's not part of the plan. How is she even
Mhm.
doing this? Like, or, they ghost, or they are wearing their CGM, but they're not doing shit.
Mhm.
They're here for 90 days. They lost 2 pounds and they want to be celebrated for that. And I was like, why are you tolerating that? Like, you're
Mhm.
wanting, tell me how you felt, because I know that you cried, and we had this conversation a few times up until very recently when you were like, I have decided
Yeah.
that nurse identity is over there,
Yeah.
and I am a CEO over here.
Mhm.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. It was, again, something that we've talked about many times in different versions of that. It came up over and over again. And yeah, and it was like this last kind of round of people I was working with, I just was like, I brought that concern to you, that I had frustration that I had too. Because I was like, this is not right. Like, these people are paying me money, working with me. There's no real transformation happening. And yeah, and like 2 pounds, or I'm still doing this, or they're still engaging in that. I was like, what is going on? We had talked about it. And I was still stuck in that nursing helping, because that's what I had always done. And it's like, I could never push too far, because that programming that I've had, and that a lot of healthcare, well, every healthcare person experiences this, is like, well, you can't say this, and you can't do this, and you can't do this, because you'll get fired, or you'll hurt the patient's feelings, or they'll give us a bad rating, or we'll lose funding, and yada, yada, yada. Like, that's how it's set up. And that was the big frustration that I had with nursing when I was working in the ICUs and in the hospitals with patients. That was the issue I had, because like, like, that part of me was wanting to come out, even way back then, Linda. That part was wanting to come out, but I couldn't fully do that, because I knew that that would be the repercussion, right, or the punishment
Yeah.
for that.
So recently, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about maybe within the last 2 months, I said to you, Alex, here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why I could never be a nurse. And here's the part of nursing that's affecting your coaching business,
Mm-hmm.
because you also had a difficulty accepting I am a coach,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
was like, here's why Linda Hayles could not be a nurse. Because if I was going into whatever, my I have these patients that I have to see tonight. It's my, this is my shift. And I go into this room, and God forgive me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then there's this, let's say, diabetic, because like that runs in my family. My oldest
Mm-hmm.
brother died from diabetic complications, amputations, dialysis, the whole nine. My
Yeah.
mom is diabetic, had metabolic syndrome. That's why she had a double bypass. Like, I could talk about this because this runs in my family,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
runs, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when my brother, I remember in 2005, I bought my brother Leslie Sansone's Walk Away the Pounds and the little portion control containers,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, he shouldn't be so huge.
Right.
He shouldn't be insulin dependent. He should be able to lose this weight. He should be able to learn how to eat. He should be able to portion control. And so, as his sister, I had just joined a like an MLM that sold workout products, Beachbody. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was like, buying him the diabetes program, because that particular program was for diabetics. Here's why I couldn't be a nurse. Because if I went in there, and let's say it was my brother, because I'm going to use my brother as an example because it was real. And I
Mm-hmm.
would be like, why are you going to the emergency room because your blood sugar is 520? Why don't you stop eating so many damn cakes?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the part that you cannot do as a nurse.
Yeah.
As a nurse, you have to come in there every hour, however, whatever it is, to take their vitals, to take their sugar, to
Mhm.
make sure that they need more insulin, or now it's tanked. So let's give them a little orange juice. And we're like basically band-aiding this
Mhm.
patient because they're here temporarily for a couple of days. We're just going to send
Yeah.
them home and they're going to come back in a couple of days again with their blood sugar through the roof.
Mhm.
So as a nurse, you cannot coach people. You cannot say, sir, do you realize that this is totally reversible? I
Mhm.
hate to see you in here. Your family has to pay for parking and come here 3 times a day and see you. And do you know that you're going to eventually you're going to have some limbs cut off? Eventually, your kidneys are going to stop working, and eventually, you're going to get on dialysis. And if you have any money set aside, your family will go through it before you die. And when you die, you will leave them broke. You can't
Mhm.
do that as a nurse.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I mean, I'm sure as a nurse, you weren't even thinking of saying that because, oh my God, that would make them feel horrible. I'm here to take care of them.
So in the beginning, yes, but towards the end, that's the point that I was getting to because I would see, and I often share this story, like I would go into the ICU room, and I would see the entire family. I would see from the little ones to their parents, to the grandparents, to the grandma, whoever in the bed. And I would tell people like, I see how it started, how it's going, and how it's going to end right there in the room in front of me. And I was like, why is nobody else talking about this? Why aren't we picking up on this? Why aren't we doing something about this to stop this, to prevent this? Because yeah, all this shit, like everybody's fucking diabetic that is coming in there. Like, what are we doing to stop this from happening over and over again?
But here's the deal. Even though you felt that way towards the end of your nursing career,
Yeah.
right? As a coach in your practice, you were still not telling people,
Mm-hmm.
here's why you're not getting results. You were like, Linda, how do I say? And I was like,
Yeah.
Alex, there's the coach hat that you have to put on because you
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to facilitate transformation for your clients. It's not just here's your CGM, send me your daily meal plan or what you're eating, send me pictures
Mm-hmm.
of your food,
Yeah.
and take a little video when you're doing your little 10,000 steps. But then they're not taking the video of the 3 ice cream cones that they had, and they're not saying that they wake up and they eat this, biscuits and gravy, 2 biscuits, or whatever. You see what I'm saying? They're just
Yeah.
telling you what you want to hear, but because it's been 12 weeks and they are in your program and they haven't gotten any results. And I was like, you need to tell your client that the same reason that they're not getting results with their weight loss and with their plan is the same reason that their marriage is the way it is. It's the same reason that their career is the way it is. That
Mm-hmm.
people pleasing is the same. Like, you've got to show them
Mm-hmm.
that this behavior is showing up in other areas of their life. You're going to have to learn to facilitate transformation, not just tell people what to do. And you were like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you're still nursing people, Alex.
Yeah.
And you cried again.
Yeah.
You were like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be a nurse anymore.
Yeah.
But we can talk about it now without any emotion. And it almost
Yeah.
seems like I don't get this identity thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's always an identity piece. The reason your money has gone like this and like that is because always we come back to identity. Who are
Mm-hmm.
you being?
Who are you being? Mm-hmm.
So recently, there has been like this big shift. And even last week, you wrote a post on social media, and I said, "Girl, you have always been the woman who gets what she wants." And you were like, "I had never heard that, and you are right."
Mm-hmm.
What What are the big shifts that you've seen that in your identity because it's affecting your relationships with your children, with your spouse in a positive way?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe some people had to let go because how how is how would you describe this identity shift that's happening in you now and in who you are becoming? Because it's really who you've always were meant to be. It's not
Yeah.
that you're becoming something that you're forcing. This is who you've always been, and we're just like peeling the layers of the identities that you have like taken on throughout your life.
Yeah. That's a big piece of it is that person was always there. She was always there, but it's like It's like all the religion, it's all the cultural stuff, it's all, how you're raised and all of those things. The school you go to and the college life that you experience and all those things, all of that stuff covers up all of that. And like you were saying, it's a multi-year, like this shit isn't just going to happen like overnight, even though it is really just like one decision that can change everything for you. But it's taken some time. It has taken some time where I've moved forward, but then I've kind of come back. But I don't, something after that last conversation that we had, when you had said the thing about the whole nursing thing, I just was like, God, she's right. Like, I keep just nursing people, and I'm not a nurse anymore. I'm not a nurse anymore. And so I even get emotional right now thinking about that. And I have had to have, like, let people out of my life, which has been fine. I've been fine with that. But I think a lot of it was opening my eyes up to seeing how people were viewing me also, and still hanging on to people who looked at me a certain type of way and really weren't respecting in ways that I was changing. So that was a big part of it. And now I feel so much, I think, more calmer, more at peace. I feel happier. I feel healthier. And I feel so much clearer. Like I'm not trying to hide or be something that I'm not anymore. And I want to thank you.
I love you. I love you. I love you. And I wish I could be fake and be like, "Well, it's not because she's Puerto Rican." No, it totally is. Like, that's my people right there.
Yeah.
I love, I just want to say this for the people that are watching. When I first started this work, I would say, one of my coaches said, "Linda, you're totally bilingual. You are fluent in Spanish. You're fluent in English. Like, why aren't you working with more Hispanic women?" And I'm like, I am not here to save nobody.
Yeah.
That was my, I was resisting that.
Yeah.
Because I had a belief that, my people, because I grew up with these people in church. I grew up with these people in my family. My people, Puerto Rican people, people of color. I'm not trying to save no Hispanic women. They got to ask their husband for permission. They have to pray about everything because they don't know how to say no. They're broke. They got bad credit. Like, I'm not here to save anybody. Like, I'm not working with those people. And this is a coach that told me, "Linda, you're bilingual. Why aren't you going to get your people?" And I had big resistance. But my people are my people. That's my calling. You're going to attract who you are, not what you want. Okay? So this is why identity is so key. And I want to tell you, if you're watching and you've never really seen me before, or Dr. Alex, or you have watched me before, I've built $1 million business with my people. So your people are out there. And when I say my people, I mean Hispanic, Black, and brown women.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of my clients are Hispanic women. And I love that. Because I also see where, how the identities that I have let go, the shackles that have been broken off of my mindset, and how I can now facilitate this in my clients. Now, I want to go back real quick for the people that are watching. What identity, what stepping in and out of your identity looks like? It looks like high and low months. It looks like I made sales and then I didn't make any sales. I always know that that's your thinking. That's created by you. Why? Because there is evidence that you've done it, because you've done it. So when Dr. Alex crossed into my world, She didn't even hire me right away from the sales call. And on the sales call, I got her all the way together. Oh my God, she cried so much on that sales call. And she got off that call and she closed a $5,000 sale. The person literally sent her a check. She had never done that. Like Alex was barely selling $500 programs for 6 months. For 6 months.
Yeah.
And so she closes a $5,000 sale. After that, she closes $10,000 sales. I interviewed her for having a $20,000 month. And then she goes into this lull. And so if you're wondering if you are having identity issues, look at your bank account, look at your results, even if it's not in your bank account and it's in your relationships, whether you're married or you're single. If you're married and you have great, a great season of great communication and great intimacy, and not just sex, but you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden it's like we're having a breakdown and what's happening. And I never thought about divorce before, but it feels like this is going to be divorce street. That is identity work from both parties, right? Because in a relationship, it's two people.
Yeah.
Right. But whatever it is, if you have lost 100 pounds before and then gained it all back, that's because you never developed the identity of a healthy person. Know how to reach goals. And high achieving women, which are the women that I work with, we know how to check boxes. We know how to go, okay, that's that. I can do that in 3 months. Boop, 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 boop. 3 months later, it's done. And then we don't even celebrate it because, we're just, that's what we do. We don't even have to try hard to achieve. Like, we know how to achieve goals. And this is why high achieving women have such difficulty going, what are you talking about? Manifest. I've been achieving goals. Like, I know what to do. Why am I not making a lot more money? Because it's not about, what to do to achieve goals. Like I said, the people that lose 100 pounds and get it all back, they know what to do. They can eat keto for however long. They can do a thing for 4 months. And then after they hit the goal, they didn't develop a new one because they never had an identity shift. And it's that, I don't know if you ever heard people, I'm not talking about you, Alex. I'm talking about somebody who's viewing this right now. If they've heard people say, I lost all the weight, but I still went into the plus size store because I couldn't, like, when I looked in the mirror, I still saw the fat person and it was crazy. Or even the people who have gastric bypass. And they're like, because there's no gastric bypass for this. This is why the weight was coming on it. It wasn't this. Because we were able to operate on this and we're making it small. So now you can't put a lot of food in there. Yeah. So the people who don't deal with the identity, they pick up another vice. They start smoking when they didn't smoke.
Yeah. And I can totally speak to that because I think I had wrote a post about this and talked to you about this before. I was looking online at clothes because I've lost 75 pounds. I was 75 pounds overweight, heart failure, blood pressure, anxiety, depression, fucking a lot of things were wrong with me. And I was scrolling. This was not too long ago, scrolling, looking for clothes. And I'm sending a couple pics to my husband, like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And he's like, why are you shopping in the plus size section? And I was like, oh, he goes, you don't even wear that size. You don't look like her. But in my mind, I still look like her. And even when I would pass by places, I'd see my shadow, my silhouette. Who that girl? No, that's me. That was me. So I totally can. And the way that I teach and the things that I do in my practice, it's like from my lived experience because that was me. And when you speak about the whole, gastric bypass, or even with his GLP-1s, with the Ozempic and all the shots and all that stuff, people are losing massive amounts of weight so rapidly. But yeah, the brain doesn't have time to catch up to the body, the identity, the person you are, the habits, the routines, the mindset, all of that has not caught up to the physical body that you have to maintain that. And so that's such a whole nother topic, but that's mindset, identity, goes into every single part of our lives, every single thing.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to talk about my other client, Amanda. This is her first year in real estate. And she says to me, when we first started working together, we were talking about closing $1 million deals. And I said, how long do you think you're going to have to be in real estate for you to do that? And she says like some ridiculous time frame. And I'm like, no, you're going to do that this month. but I'm brand new. Like brand new realtors don't close luxury deals. What? You're going to close one this month. And that week she goes and she lands a $735,000 deal. And her commission check for that deal alone, one commission check for that deal was more than what she had made for the year so far. Right. So then, she and now she just leveled up. She's got $1.2 million deals. She's got 2-for-1s, which is like someone is selling their $1 million property, but they need another one. And it's like she just tapped into this flow. And a couple of months ago, we're talking and she's sounding really negative. And I'm like, you literally have all of these closings next year because she's selling new properties. You have already secured over $100,000 for next year. So we have to raise your goal. And it's just that your reality hasn't caught up. I'm like, how could you speak to me and be in a funk? And she was like, damn, Linda, you're right. So if you think and you're watching that identity is not your issue, you are wrong. It is everyone's issue. And I don't know why humans are like this. Don't ask me. I didn't. Let's call God and ask him because he's the one that made us. Humans get comfortable real quick, and we get comfortable in the very uncomfortable places. But the real word is familiar, because that's familiar. We know it. We don't love it, but it's familiar. Puerto Rican people say it's better the devil that you know than the devil that you don't know. This is why women stay with men that cheat and treat them back. Well, I already know him. I've been with him 15 years, 20 years.
Right.
And there's the actual real name for that. It's called the sunk cost fallacy. And I'm not going to teach about it. Just go Google it. But if you don't think that identity at work is important, it is very important. And it is now foundation of the work that I do with my clients, because I know that it's ongoing. It's ongoing. But definitely, it's why such brilliant women are out here in this world. Lawyers, doctors, psychologists, dentists, realtors, women who have been the top salesperson in their company or in the region 12 years in a row, women who walk on water and are still dealing with vices, whether it's alcohol every night, whether it's pills or THC. They're still dealing with toxic relationships, whether it's a marriage that should have been gone a long time ago, or a man who is not good for them. But who do they say that to? Because they drive well, they have the letters after their name, they're tenured professors. It's identity work. It's identity work. Alex, what is the biggest shift? What is the biggest shift that you would like to close? I know we've talked all about identity, and I know some people may have thought that we were going to talk about money. You can't make the money that you want to make. You can't have the life that you want to have. You can't have the marriage or the body or the anything without identity. What is the biggest thing that you would like to leave everybody with? As coming from someone who didn't understand identity work and now is like,
oh my gosh. I would say first, be open to learning about it. Really be open to learning about it. And so now that maybe you're watching this, you know about it. So go start learning about it and being open to hearing more about it. And I guess really reflecting on your life, asking questions about yourself and reflecting on who you are and what things are coming up for you. Because I know for myself, as you were talking about before, being comfortable, like we get comfortable with a whole lot of shit in our lives. And when you start to get uncomfortable, that's when you start asking questions and you start challenging things and looking at things through a different lens, a different perspective. And that can be really uncomfortable, really difficult sometimes. And especially if you're working on it on your own, it's you having somebody there with you to help work through that will make such a difference for you. I know for me and having Linda, that's what's really helped me a lot in this area is that. And I think for me, the biggest shift right now has been just releasing. Like I did that bless and release ceremony not too long
That
ago.
was so good. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
it was great.
That was good. I'm not trying to toot my horn, but that was good. It was good for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did the bless and release ceremony. And I really sat with that. I really thought about it. And it was just the right time for me to do that. It just was the right time. And so I put all those things on there that I wanted to bless and release, let go, and bring in. And that
Breathe,
for
Alex.
me,
Breathe, Alex. Breathe. Don't cry.
whew, I'm trying, girl. I'm trying. Ooh, yeah, that was so good. That was so good. And that was such a moment for me of really actually letting it go. Because you could talk about letting it go, but have you really? So that was it.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here this morning with me. Thank you so much for sharing. For
You're
those of
welcome.
you who are feeling called, Alex, I know that I introduced you at the beginning of
Yeah.
the call. Explained explain to people what you do. Before you do that, I just want
Mhm.
to say this. This was last week. I was talking to Alex and I said, "Alex, why are you?" She's like, "Well, I thought I thought I was talking about it enough." I'm like, "No, you're not talking about it enough. I need you to really lead with you work with six-figure women." And I'm
Mhm.
like, "You can't possibly," and she didn't say that she felt like an imposter, but I just added, "You can't possibly feel like an imposter because you are a six-figure woman.
Mhm.
It's not like you're not talking to anybody that you don't understand."
Right.
And we started to break down like your best clients, not because they made the money. It just
Mhm.
happened that your best clients were women who are six-figure earners. That is
Right.
important for us to know as we're breaking down our ideal clients. But tell everybody what you do so that and where they can find you if they're trying to achieve these results with their body, with their
Right.
health.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one of the things that we talked about was the six-figure woman because I was like, holy shit, why am I not talking to a woman who is just like me? Like I am that woman. Um, and I've been making six figures. I have multiple businesses. I have a family. I teach. I'm a professor. Like I'm doing all the things. And I was like, why am I not talking directly to other women like me? I was still trying to talk to generally too broadly to all the people. And that was getting me nowhere. And it didn't feel very good. I said, I need to talk to me, to my woman, to my people. And so I teach a lot about biohacking. So I do a lot of biohacking. I do functional medicine because I really believe that women can be in control. They need to be masters of their body, especially after we turn 35 and the hormones start doing all the different things. And you might not feel like you're even in your same body anymore. You've had kids, maybe you even haven't had kids, but your body starts changing and you might not entirely understand or recognize yourself anymore. And I like getting to the root cause and getting to what the real problem is and not just taking a science medical kind of look at things but doing it holistically because just as we talked about like the identity today, like your spiritual health, your physical health, your insight, your career, your emotional health, and all of those are these 5 major domains of wellness that I teach about that I incorporate into my program. It's very holistic, the things that I do, because I know for me, that was how I was able to heal myself and to reverse a lot of the issues that I had. And I know that a lot of these 6-figure women, these high powered women, like we have the careers and we have the families and we have these health issues and we have the bank account. We have all the things that look great, but then our physical body, our vessel, like what's happening with it? What are we doing to it, for it? So that can help sustain us because we do want to live longer. We want to live healthier. We want to be better. We want to be bolder. We want to be bigger, do better. So those are the type of women that I work with and really helping them to transform their body, their health to that elite status. Because, generic and you don't go together. So I do very targeted precision wellness. It's like a luxury holistic solution for women, specifically for them.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say this um, just for the people that are watching. When I went, this was so funny. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then. because I made a big deal about it. My credit was like 3.
Uh-huh. Yes.
My credit was so low. I don't even know. I was so embarrassed about it that I hadn't checked it in years.
Mhm.
So in 2021, I paid someone to help me fix my credit. Then I bought my first dream car. Then I got my second car. And right after I got my second car, I was like, I got an invitation from American Express. And I was like, oh my God, can I apply for it? American Express is so huge, it's a big deal, and I'm not gonna get it, and I'm gonna be so disappointed. And so I applied anyway. It was a soft pull, so it was not gonna affect your credit score. And I get approved for like this unlimited credit line. Like, what? Unlimited credit line? And it's $695 a year. Right now, there's a fee for it. And I get it, and I activate all of the rewards. Like you get, your Hulu is taken care of, and your Audible, and you get a $15 Uber credit. Like there's all of these perks that you get that kind of offset the $695 fee, right? Because membership has its perks. But I'm taking care of something a couple of months ago, actually. And someone says, do you have the platinum? Do you have the platinum American Express? I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, why don't you get a concierge? They have a concierge that will do blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? You pay for this? And I'm like, oh my God. And so, boom, I contacted the people and they took care of the stuff. That is like, we're afraid to say concierge or white glove service or 6-figure, whatever. There's levels to this. So Dr. Alex doesn't offer a Kia solution. You want Kia solution, you go to WeightWatchers.com. That's Kia, right? If you want European, if you want Bentley solution, that you want elevated, bespoke, customized for you and your body and your blood work and your hormones, that's what she does. It's private, it's elite. That's why we describe it that way. It's the kind of work that we do. So just wanted to give that to you, because that's
Yeah. And I'm on Facebook. Facebook is where you can find me. I'm on Facebook, Dr. Alex. I'm on YouTube and LinkedIn also. And if you are watching this video, the best thing to do is just reach out and send me a DM and say, hey, I saw you on Linda's interview. And that's as easy as it is.
Absolutely. I'm going to tag you on this, and then you can share it onto your page as well. And so thank you so much for being here. Thank you. If this is as of today is December 23rd, and we're about to close off the year. So it is not too late for you to use is it HSA?
Yeah, HSA, FSA. Yep, my program qualifies for that.
FSA. Like if you have those benefits, you can use them with Dr. Alex. If you don't have those benefits, or if you do, you can't use them with me. But you can. You can write off the investment that you put into yourself for this year to grow yourself and your business. And so you can reach out to either one of us on whatever social media platform you're watching this in. Thank you so much for being here.